Hello, everyone. I'm alive. I did not vanish off the face of the earth, and I'm talking about the Mockingjay movies again with Gabby because I am prolonging the ending to talking about the Hunger Games series. So, hi, Gabby.
Hi. Thank you so much for having me again in this podcast. So it's always a pleasure to be here.
And how you been? We haven't chatted in a little while.
I know. Well, I've been good. Allergy season is
Oh,
coming on strong.
got any plans for Mother's Day?
Well, my mom is not a big enthusiast of gifts. She's more like a dessert enthusiast. So I made her um kind of like breakfast dessert and a thing. It wasn't actually breakfast, it was just dessert. So the entire day was like me making like cookies and like a mango mousse and like things that she likes without too much sugar because she's also like she likes sweet things but just like oh about the sugar, so I have to
Yeah,
crack my brain split like I have to split it wide open in order to figure out
yeah.
like
We're due.
oh, use apple instead of like normal sugar, which is like not the same thing, but it sort of works. It's weird. How about you? How have you been?
So, planning my dad does because he works over the weekend for overtime, so he's working this weekend. So I've done a majority planning the Mother's Day activities, which thankfully my everyone here was pretty low key. I just have to take Bubba gambling, and Brady and I are gonna get mom her breakfast from her favorite diner tomorrow morning.
That's so nice.
And oh, I don't know if I told you. I think I made one post about it on Instagram, but guess what I was doing last week? Was this a week ago?
Tell me.
So I don't know if you know, but a new Rick Riordan book came out that's focused on Nico D'Angelo, the Sun and the Star.
Uh-huh.
And Rick co-wrote it with Marco Shiro, and they may or may not have been on a book tour, and I may or may not have gone to one of their stops and sat front row.
Yes.
It was so much fun, and look, I got a T-shirt. No,
Which
wait, I'm not wearing the T-shirt. Sorry, I was wearing it earlier. I completely forgot I changed into
because
pajamas.
yeah, because the first second I was like, it's good. Like
No,
that's
that's not it. It had a similar design like on top because okay, no one can see this because it's a visual. I'm wearing my Between the Lines musical t-shirt, guys, but the t-shirt I got from the tour has like a similar like color on the top. That's why I forgot looking at the Zoom that I wasn't wearing that shirt. But imagine a bunch of Cocoa Puff demons on the shirt, that and the shirt basically says embrace your demons or whatever. So
oh, I like that shirt, but also really like the shirt that you're wearing currently. So I'm
yeah,
like,
which
great shirt.
is it is a fantastic show. I want to do this show. It is a musical for book lovers. Why wouldn't I want to do this show?
I mean, musicals are like little jewels and like little like bags of happiness
Exactly.
in a sense.
Yep. Oh,
Unless you're in production and things go like haywire and it's the day before you open. But besides
I
that, everything's cool.
oh, did I tell you? I don't know if I'll leave this part in, but did I tell you that I auditioned for a play that I ended up being happy that I wasn't cast in? Because so one of my local theaters, they do musicals of course, but they do plays as well. And I saw like the Facebook event or whatever. They're like, oh, it's like a comedy with a very small cast. It's a farce. And I'm like sounds ridiculous. I don't know anything about this play. I didn't do much research. It was basically kind of an impulse decision. And this theater, because it's community theater, they don't really ask you to prepare much ahead of time. They're just like, just try your best. Cold reads shit. And so I show up, and I didn't learn until I got there that it's a how do I put this, physical show. Like everyone kisses everyone in the show, and I was like, oh, not my thing. Also, I was very clearly the youngest there.
In COVID times,
Yeah. I'm like, oh. And mind you, one of the characters who I ended up reading for, I did a terrible German accent for, but I had fun reading for her. And but I'm glad I wasn't cast because one, I don't want to. I have no desire to kiss anyone I met, and plus all the guys were like I think probably a decade older than me.
I mean, like, I see them, I'm like, but still, it's like COVID times. Kissing random people at random is like a death wish. I know we're not too much into COVID times, but still. I got scarred, guys. I think we all have scars.
Yeah.
So now we're slightly panicky about like personal space. Personal space is a great thing.
I can't tell you how many times growing up, because my brother, he's a decade younger than me. He come out of the bathroom and I basically acted like another mom because I was like, Brady, did you wash your hands? Yes. With soap? No.
Perfect with soap.
No. And now I'm doing it to my grandmother at times too. Because she's 87, almost 88, and does not give a shit.
I mean, you get to that point and go like, eh.
Oh, one more thing before we get started. This can stay in the episode. I'm still crying over Guardians of the Galaxy 3. I did not ask for that therapy session, James Gunn. And also, I'm not kidding. The day I saw it, because I saw it on like the Friday opening weekend, because I'm a crazy person who's like, I have to see new Marvel movies opening weekend so I don't get spoiled because people don't have patience on the internet not to spoil shit. Um, so I, so like right after work, I picked up my friend. We drove straight to the theater, met my family there, and then we're watching it. And earlier that day at work, I had a customer call into the office who was like the worst phone call I'd ever had with a customer. I basically had to like go outside and take a walk and calm down because I was freaking out over that customer call. And it was like to the point where my supervisor called the customer back and ripped a new one in him. And because he was yelling at me for things that were not my fault. And then the bad guy in Guardians, the way he was talking to Rocket, not too far off from how customers have talked to me before. So I was like, fuck him up, fuck him up, fuck him up.
He's
I'm like,
like,
guys, it's me. I'm the one getting beat up right now. So
like,
so
this is triggering. It's fine. It's
yeah,
fine.
it's fine. It's fine. So if you haven't seen Guardians yet, trigger warning: one, for animal cruelty, and two, if you work in customer service,
This movie is triggering.
this movie might be triggering for you. Anyway, speaking of triggering, Mockingjay.
Yes.
So so like I said at the beginning, before we went on a very long tangent, I am prolonging ending talking about Hunger Games stuff because I don't want it to. Because part of me is like, I don't want it to end, even though I am excited about the stuff I have planned to talk about in the future. So, Gabby and I thought it'd be fun to talk about scenes and things that were in the book of Mockingjay that weren't necessarily included in the movie, as well as just things in general that we felt were absent from the movie. So Gabby, you had notes. You came better prepared than me.
Not at all. It's because, like, thank you for saying that, but not really. It's because I watched the movie and I read the like book again,
Mm-hmm.
and then like it's very confusing because both of them are very very similar, but it's like distant cousins.
Mm.
Talk about the exact same topic. It's like you know that distant cousin that sort of looks a lot like you, but then you look at them closely and they're entirely different.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of had that with one of my cousins where we don't look alike. Trust me, Bubba has pointed out to me several times. We don't look alike, but certain things about us on the surface, you think we were the same, but then when you examine us, it's like, nope.
It was like they're entirely different, but you can tell they're related.
Mhm.
That's the true relationship between the book and the movie. Well, part one and part. Let's not even go into part two. Just part one.
Yeah, we might mention things from part two, but we're primarily focused on part one.
because it's entirely different. It got to the point that I was like, okay, I've read the book, I know what's supposed to happen. Then they just like pull things out of like the hat, like pull things out of a hat, just like, oh, that was not in the books. I don't know why they okay. And a lot of things were censored,
Mm.
which I enjoyed the movie Mockingjay Part One. It seemed very watered down in comparison to the book. And it sort of made the whole situation seem a little bit like not nicer, but like more child appropriate when it's not supposed to be. Mockingjay Part One has to be like part of my French, but a shit show. It
Yeah.
it has to show pretty much the true cruelty in a very raw matter of the capital and also of the rebels, both of them.
Hmm.
That is very much missing. One of the things that is in the book, and it's very described and it's a very pivotal moment, is when PETA is giving the warning to District 13. You know, that in like the capitals with the big like TV show and like the announcement sort of thing with PETA.
Hmm.
In the book, it is described his warning being cut off by him being bashed on the head, and then him on the floor, and like the camera seeing him like bleeding.
Hmm.
So you see kind of like his attempt, like his true attempt, like um warn in a sense, and also the brutality that he was being treated with. In the movie is just like weird close up. They're coming. It's like and like black, and I was like, okay, but what about the brutality? Yes, PETA's condition is or description is pretty much similar, like under eyes, fairly like malnourished. You can see the fact that he has a couple bruises, blah blah blah. But what do you think about that change from
I
the
mean,
book?
I understand why, because it's just like how with the first movie they were said, like, they had to cut out a lot of the violence from the arena because they wanted to keep that PG-13 rating. So I do get it, but we're still gonna critique it. um and even just the way he delivers the warning between book and movie, because in the movie it's like he straight up is like, they're coming, you'll all be dead by they're gonna kill everyone in District 13, you'll be dead by more, than cut off, and Hamish is like, hey, that was a warning. Like, no, no shit, Hamish, it was a warning. Whereas, like, in the book, it's so much more shocking because Peta's like really like not with it at all in the book, and Katniss notes how he seems barely able to keep focus on anything. He struggles to deliver the message. Like, it takes every bit of mental effort he has in him, because at this point they're already kind of deep into the hijacking process with him. We don't know that yet, obviously, from Katniss's point of view, but looking back and rereading, we know that he's really fighting hard against the hijacking at this point, and he struggles to get out. He says, Katniss, you there in 13, dead by morning. And if you just hearing that, you think, wait, what's going on? And then before we even have a second to question what he just said, boom, they start beating him. And everyone's like, whoa, what the fuck just happened? And Haymitch has to be like, he's warning us, they're literally beating the shit out of him right now, so clearly that means something.
Exactly. And in the book, it's very descriptive on how he has been pretty much tortured until that point, and it's very obvious to everyone watching that he has been tortured, that he is not dressed like to the nines and just like looking like very very thin. No, like in the movie he looked thin, but not, yeah, with like like dark circles, but it's not as he is really being like tortured. He's having like PTSD, when the dissociation of people when they're tortured, that they're not really there.
Yeah.
And in the movie we still see somewhat perform like the PETA performance that he puts, the performance aspect of him. However, in the book, that's not even like he can't even go there because he has like no energy to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one of the things that I was like very kind not upset, but I was like, that could have been a very shocking and pivotal moment in the movie, and they didn't use it. However, in the book is one of the things that you say, oh God, they really need to get him out of there.
Yeah. I mean, maybe because, reading the book, because we're seeing everything filtered through Katniss's point of view, they really just, it was shocking when they get him back and he attacks her. Maybe for the movie, they didn't quite lean into how fucked up PETA looks and everything and how like unstable he is mentally because they wanted the shock value of him attacking Katniss once he's rescued. Like that I could see why they were doing it, but yeah, it does take away from how horrible it was for PETA.
Yeah, like it didn't deliver in a sense.
Yeah.
Also, another thing that really bothered me that wasn't in the movies at all, or not as much as it should be, are the importance of prep teams and stylists.
Yes.
Because in the book, it is stated that every single stylist and prep team of every single victor after the 75th Hunger Games,
Mm-hmm.
they all got executed. They were all executed.
Yeah.
However, in the movie, not a single mention.
Now they had Fulvia Cardew was basically Effie's role in the book because she's Plutarch's assistant. But then when they were after they made Catching Fire, Suzanne Collins loved Elizabeth Banks' performance as Effie so much, and just everyone loved working with her. So Suzanne Collins went to the producers, and they were like, and she was basically like, Fulvia who?
Yeah, true, sorry. But the fact that they erased the brutality of what happened, everyone that was helping the victors in a sense or were near them was entirely erased. And I get that the movie just has like very limited time to go through the characters. However, it would have been very, very shocking, and it would have been very, very nice and very true to the book to pretty much the announcement that every single stylist and every single prep team was one considered a traitor and then executed. That would have added like to the overall. You don't have to steal, like you don't have to like show it for like if you want to keep all like the PG-13 rating, you don't have to show it. But like even in the first movie, they kept the cannons. So they didn't show it, but you know that they were dying.
Yeah.
They could have done something similar in Mockingjay of like, oh, like the announcement that they were executed. However, in the movie, not a single mention of them. What are stylists? Non-existent. And even Portia, not a mention in the movies.
Maybe her name was dropped once in all the movies, but I don't think she spoke a single line.
Yeah, actually.
maybe
What
maybe,
was the
maybe they
one?
couldn't afford maybe they couldn't afford to pay an actor to speak because isn't it like if you speak in a movie and it shows up on camera, you get paid a little more?
No, she did speak a single line. And the first
Oh,
movie, she said when PETA got his rating, she literally said, PETA! That was the entire,
oh,
that's it. And I was like, really? They
well, good for her. She got to speak, and they kept it in the movie. Hope she got her money.
Portia was she was like a very important character similar to Cinna.
Mm,
Portia in her own right was a stylist, and people were like, oh, like that's not a big thing. It is a huge thing. And like because even Snow's cousin,
yeah.
uh, she used to be a, like
Tigress.
they like in the movie they don't hone on what honor or the work that it takes to and like the hard work that it takes to become a stylist for the Hunger Games.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, they build Cinna up. They build that character to kill him very horribly, but like at least on screen was like, damn, or like him being beat up. But Portia, even though she's also a very strong stylist, she supports Peta. She is like Peta's in a sense support system.
Mm-hmm.
And that also builds on the fact that Peta by the end, he has absolutely no one except Katniss to pretty much ground him again. Because his family was killed in the attack.
Yeah.
His entire prep team, including Portia, were executed. He has no one at all anymore. Maybe Hamish, but like Hamish was like, save Katniss, Peta. He'll be able to handle it. It's like, dude, what?
Listen, Haymitch, I've told you guys, he's the lovable, if not always reliable, drunk uncle.
Exactly, but that I think it was a very missed opportunity in the movie to not show how alone Peta was. So you can see why they chose to pretty much distort Katniss's entire being to him. Because if they had done it, you would have seen like the cruelty done to Peta. Because by then he was missing like a leg.
Yeah.
He had no family. He
Mm-hmm.
had been tortured. He had like every single person he knew and was like a quote unquote on his side was murdered.
Yep.
And then the last person he had, they changed everything about her. So he saw her as a threat, like as a true threat to his life.
Mm-hmm.
So pretty much they erased everything and every single thing that made Peta himself. So so if they had shown that in the movie, you would have been a lot more shocked to see him trying to piece again who he is and decide to not attack Katniss because quote unquote his love for her was even greater to whatever memories he had
Yep.
that like that makes his love for her a lot, I don't know, like grand,
Mm-hmm.
storybook only believable type of love
I
that
mean,
yeah.
like love is kind of a revolutionary act in a sense with the whole Hunger Games series because the games, the whole point of the games is to pit the districts against each other and get everyone to become more apathetic. But like and it's moment and when and earlier when they're and this kind of goes back to in Mockingjay when they're listing moments of okay, when are moments where Katniss genuinely moved you, not when you were, you liked her outfit or whatever, or when Peta made you like her, but something that came from her. And people are both in the book and the movie list moments like volunteering for her sister, obviously, choosing Rue as an ally, singing her as she's dying, showing compassion to the Morphling in from District 6. Like it's moments of genuine love because showing that amount of love and empathy for someone who's from a different district who's supposed to be your enemy is a revolutionary act. So Peta's love for Katniss overcoming everything the Capitol is doing to him is a revolutionary act.
True. And also, I also what another thing that really like bothered me in all the characters, all like the like quote unquote the good guys, the good characters, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It's the fact that they tried not to or they completely avoided the fact that they were all murderers.
Yeah. Oh, wait, before we completely move past the stylist, something I was thinking about while you were going on that, making that point. So you know that scene in the movie where you see all the different districts and all the that where Snow's doing like his announcement speech on the TVs and like all you see those people get like executed on stage or whatever and their faces are covered. There was like rumor a while back that in that scene they're supposed to have their face coverings taken off and you were actually supposed to see Cinna somewhere in that lineup of people getting shot. So what if not only you saw Cinna in that lineup, but other stylists and prep teams? They made it clear it was stylists and prep teams, and you see them get executed like that in the movies, and it kind of not only is it obviously horrifying to watch because most of the stylists and prep teams had no clue about any rebellion, especially the ones who were associated with the career districts. They had no clue what was going on, and then it kind of it's supposed to like scare it would be a good scare tactic for the districts as well because like, oh, they're doing this to their own capital citizens, what the hell are they going to do to us?
Exactly, because it would have like really pinpointed also the fact that the capital itself was crumbling
Hmm.
because it was killing, like not even the people in the capital were entirely safe from
Hmm.
Snow's regime.
Nope.
Because like the game maker, it was a very like dangerous position because if you failed,
You
you got
die. You will die.
exactly. So even that could have stretched to stylists. That could have stretched to every single person working on the games.
Mhm.
So that could have been a very cool way to show that even that despite Snow's, yes, I am calm. I have everything under control. He actually didn't have everything under control because his own regime and his own system was crumbling.
Mhm.
And also, I don't know if like you noticed that, but it really it's one of the things that I was like I wished that they would have kept it in the movies. I mean, I get why they didn't because it's a family kind of like movie in a sense, and in that kind of movies, they like the fact that all the quote unquote good characters, whatever they do bad, it's justifiable in a sense.
Yeah.
Um, they don't show that everyone's gray at all. It's like,
Like
oh, they're yeah,
yeah, like this is Mockingjay Part 2 territory, but this is the first thing that comes to my mind is that in the book, when they're sneaking through the Capitol to try to assassinate Snow, Katniss straight up murders a woman, like who's an innocent civilian bystander.
exactly. And they don't really show how messed up and not entirely good people, or how the games makes the victors to not be quote unquote good people because they've killed. Because one thing that happens in the books, and it wasn't not even mentioned in like in the movie, was the fact that PETA in an interview says that Chad was killed by Brutus and that
Yeah.
he had killed Brutus.
A piece of information that's tossed out a bit nonchalantly because I remember reading that and I was like, what? Huh?
And the fact that for them, for the victors, murder becomes such a like day-to-day thing because everything in the games is like up for grabs and everything is pretty much not justified, but it's pretty much everyone against everyone and you got to do what you got to do in a sense. It's like morals aside, ethics aside, feelings, they're not a thing there. It's
The only thing that is like crosses a line in the games is cannibalism, and we know Snow explicitly is like, nope, fuck cannibalism because he was traumatized by that as a child.
exactly. It's like that is the thing that we are not good with. The rest,
I'm curious to see how much they'll dive into that for the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes movie because they casted two kids to play little Tigress and Coriolanus, and like there's like photos of them like on set in costume, like walking through rubble that looks like wartime, damage or whatever. So and I think they casted someone as like that family, like what's his name, Nero or something, who we see do the cannibalism. So I'm just like, are we gonna see that?
I mean, I really hope that the new, like the new, like the ballad of the ballad of snakes and
Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes.
thank you,
You're welcome.
is a little bit more. I mean, it's not that I'm craving to see violence on screen, but a little bit more close to the book
Hmm.
because I mean it is a great book and it is a criticism on actual like on humanity and what they're capable of doing. So I get the fact that you want your squeaky clean hero. I really get it. But a thing that it's portrayed in all the books, especially in Mockingjay Part 1, but also in that book, is the fact that history is written by victors and
Hey.
history is not entirely reliable because you can paint yourself to be a hero when you in fact were a villain. Exactly, and that like at least in part like Mockingjay Part 1, the fact that they don't express the fact that one PETA has killed someone, not not kind of like wait, okay, little kind of like pause. My dog is throwing a tantrum.
Yeah, I'm like, that's either mine or your dog. I couldn't tell.
She's throwing a tantrum, guys. Like she is really like, oh, ah." So I'll just close the door because I would love to set her free, but it's her head
My
or
dog.
mine.
I think my dog wants to come in. Hold on. Ugh. I let her in and she ignores me. She goes straight for the couch.
Ah. But yes, it was like they, for example, because Katniss, every single time she's killed, it was either a mercy kill or because she absolutely had to, right?
Mhm.
Because someone else killed, like for example, she killed the person that killed Brew. Okay,
Marble.
exactly. Like every single time that she was a murderer, it was like justified. I mean, I get it, but also I would have liked the fact to see PETA like a true, not a true, but like a similar Victor to her,
Hmm.
because PETA and her, they're oddly similar. Because, I mean, PETA, I mean, you don't see it in the movie at all, but PETA is insanely strong.
Yep.
Like, almost like the Hulk strong. So it would have been like a nice in-depth creation of PETA instead of only being like, oh, the lover boy, golden boy, like golden retriever kind of like
Hmm.
energy. I get the golden retriever, but it would have been a lot cooler to see his golden retriever energy being a choice to him
Hmm.
because he's also capable of mass destruction.
True.
Not not entirely mass destruction, but it would have been like it would have been really cool not to only see him like throw like a ball over his like head
Hmm.
once, like, to see at least him fighting at least Brutus, like physically fighting Brutus and him winning over Brutus, even though Brutus was like a monster,
Yeah.
a menace. Him being like being able to overpower Brutus and him despite everything still choosing to be to still have his like golden retriever energy and like be the lover boy and still love Katniss and blah blah blah, but also to see his dark side and see how the games were pretty much killing the insides of everyone involved. What do you think about that?
I mean, yeah, I don't really have anything to add. You made a good point.
Because you
I just started picturing a scene like that play out for the movie because we know obviously he and Brutus go head to head, and I think like PETA ran off from the tree during catching fire to go find Joanna and Katniss because obviously the wire was cut, so he's like, oh shit, something's wrong, and it would have been really interesting to see like him and Brutus going at each other, and then I don't know. It sounds cliche, but it would be an effective way to show like the soft lover boy inside Peter while also contracting with how physically powerful he is and could be a menace like Brutus, but he's not. Because but with them saying something like, "Oh, once we kill you, we're gonna kill Katniss or whatever," and that makes Peeta kind of snap a little bit.
Yeah, or seeing Brutus
Oh
kill
yeah,
Chaff,
because he killed Chaff too. I forgot about that.
because Brutus killed Chaff, Peeta killed Brutus.
Hmm.
So it would have been very cool to see Brutus fall. Like, sorry, Chaff fall, and then Brutus launching himself at Peeta and Peeta winning.
Yep.
And like quote unquote winning before being taken away to the capital and then like stripped out
Hmm.
of his full force, his strength.
Hmm.
Because I think that's the thing that the capital wanted to get rid of Peeta was originally was to get rid of his strength because he was such a good fighter,
Hmm.
oddly enough. But we never see Peeta like full on fight. Like, yeah, we do, but like we see him running.
Yeah, I
And
remember in those movies.
yeah, like we see him like a very cute and lovable, but like weaker person than Finnick. And Peeta physically was much stronger than Finnick. The thing about Finnick was the fact that he was very, very quick and he was slim and
Hmm.
he was like very smart in the way that he fought.
And he had a ton of combat training, so he knew what he was doing.
Exactly. And you see the rawness of Peeta. Like Finnick would have been really cool to see him with like his fancy things and Peeta with like full on like raw, like unwavering force going like it's like, okay, we're good. We're
Yeah,
good.
we're
He's good.
fine.
Exactly. And see Katniss's strength in strategy in a sense. So it wouldn't it like because you will see those three and go like, how the quack did they like survive? It was pure luck.
I mean, that's how I get through day by day. Pure luck at times.
But like it's an arena. I saw like the second movie and I was like, I have no clue why they survived. Okay, because they had Beatty and Wirus and Joanna, you could see her like tiny but like with
Yeah.
strength and she was like, okay, we have like a fighter. Got it. Finnick is a pretty boy, a very jacked pretty boy, but like okay, these kind of things. And then you saw Katniss just with her arrow and like bow, just like going around. It's like oh, and like Peeta, and then Peeta just like a very clueless. I'm happy to be alive kind of thing, like kind of boy. And I was like, dude, no. If you would have like really set them as like sorry to say this, but like true like because they're supposed to be gladiators in a sense. And like I'm sorry, but the capital is not going to like spend so much money on like weakling people just to see them being killed by like natural disasters
True.
or like the game. They wouldn't. They want to see true gladiators. So it would have been really cool to see Katniss and her full on like bow and arrow, swift, strategic, Joanna climbing up trees, being like very tiny, but like very like I'm sorry, but like a menace.
Yeah.
You Finnick with like all his training and very swift and very fast and very like lethal and like straight lined. And then you see Peeta, which he is like very, very strong, a little bit slower, but a single punch and you're dead.
But you're forgetting the most valuable asset they had with them for the movie. Plot armor.
Hmm?
Plot armor.
Which deal? You know what I mean. It would have
I
like
know
been.
what you mean. I had to say it. I had to be that person.
And also talking about like the victors. What do you think about the fact that they didn't express the fact that they were all broken inside?
I mean they do kind of show us in Mockingjay Part 1 because first scene we have with Finnick in Part 1 is him not looking his best. He is in the hospital crying a lot. And Haymitch, they don't show it very well, but it's implied that he is struggling with the effects of withdrawal because he doesn't have access to alcohol in 13.
I mean, yeah, but we don't see their true PTSD. We see little
Yeah.
glimpses, like little images here and there, but we don't see District 13's like wanting to get them. You know what I mean? Because District 13, they were like in the book, they were like malnourished as quack.
Oh wait, you kind of your audio
Like the
malfunctioned
rest
for
of
a second.
um okay, in the book, okay, in the movie, we didn't get to see District 13's urgeness to get the victors, get a hold of the victors.
Hmm.
We do, but we don't. But it's weird because in the book, District 13, they're all like oddly malnourished.
Hmm.
Like food rations, they barely eat. It was like, and they were like with like 1,000 diseases, and like most of the population now is like barren, and they cannot have babies. And the fact that they have now District 12, they're like, ooh, livestock to breed and stuff. I mean, but we don't really see it in the movie.
Yeah.
And we don't see the need for those victors because they are trained gladiators in a sense. And District 13 needed desperately the trained gladiators that knew how the capital thought, like really knew,
Hmm.
fight with them against the capital. I don't know what you think about that.
Yeah, but like, because they have quote unquote like mental health care or whatever the for the victors, because they didn't have that at all back in Panem. But it kind of had this feeling of, okay, we'll give you this care so we can try and get you back in the field as quickly as possible. You can be useful to us, and not because we actually want you to go through the slow and often complicated healing process.
Exactly. It's like in the movie they only showed like Coin being like with a hidden agenda, and that's
Yeah.
it. And like we don't see the true desperation that it's like so descriptive in the books of like District 13.
Hmm.
I mean, what are other scenes or aspects that you wish that there were in like in the movie that were just like
Just like not one scene in particular, but I just remember like reading when I did this last reread, noticing how many times Katniss had to go back to the hospital, not only like for physical injuries, but mentally as well. But just like how she was not fully healed in any sense, physically, mentally, when she was going out to District 8, when she was going out to 12 to walk around so she could really see the damage that was done. It's like, and just how physical, because there's so many moments where she talked about how sprints and things that used to be so easy for her, like she's winded. And I don't think it's just because she had to physically heal. I think it's also mental as well, because depression makes you tired. Like it's insane how tired it makes you just from doing very simple tasks.
I know. And like I don't like it's not a critique to the actress. Jennifer Lawrence like she's a great actress.
Mhm.
However, we never got to see Katniss really being furious, like murderous type furious. Like all the kind of like speeches that she got or that she had were like, they do this. And I
I
was like,
still listen. It was still a goddamn good speech. I still get chills watching it.
I mean,
Okay, we're different people.
yeah, like for example, okay, maybe I'm biased, but for example, in Pirates of the Caribbean, the third movie, Elizabeth's Elizabeth Swan's speech. I'll say they'll see free man and freedom when they're like facing Lord Beckett. It's
I've
like, gentlemen,
not seen these movies in forever. I'm blanking.
Okay, oh, she says, like, gentlemen, hoist the colors, which is put the flags up, and you
Mhm.
see all the different pirates putting the flag up, like putting the flag up, and deciding even though they're all gonna die, they're marching into battle because they're fighting for what's theirs, which is freedom. That I was like, that's a good, yeah, like that's a good speech because you could see the fact that she was like, even though in her anger and whatever, you could still see the fact that that sense of like freedom to her was a new thing because she was raised quote unquote rich and like just the daughter of a governor and like dresses and like corsets and
But
stuff.
oh yeah, I will. Even though I haven't seen those movies in forever, the scene of her being so like strangled by the corset that she passed out and fell off the wall, that will forever stick in my brain.
Exactly. So you see that, I don't know, judge me, but you see that speech and you say, okay, I get it. But you see Katniss, who is supposed to be who's supposed to always have been the underdog. She was always a fighter. She was always, I'm sorry, like she talked back. She pushed back. She was not a pushover. She was always slightly but violent since her father's death. The fact that she was a great with like bow and arrow. I think that the fact that all the time before she had been oddly contained and oddly kind of like cold, it would have been very cool to see her fully explode, not without tears, like not with tears, like ah, like what? Because I'm sorry, but that speech sounded a little bit whiny. I'm sorry, it did. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. And the book is like full on rage, it's like she's murdering people with her bare hands, and I'm all for it. In the movie, we got tears and whiny, and this is what they do. Dude, no. Instead of screaming, it would have been very, very cool, just calm and collected. This is what they do. And like, the eyes of like people. Okay, great background actors when they bring. That's one of the sequences in the movie that was like, okay, it looks better than it did in the book. It's when they're singing and you see all the people running and bringing all the bombs to get rid of like the
Oh, the
water.
hanging tree. I love that scene. That's my favorite scene in the whole movie.
Exactly. And you saw, even though they were like some of them were like gone down, you saw in their faces that they did no longer care that they died, but they had to. Like if they fell, the other one like took their place and like kept going.
Yep.
I would have loved to see that. Okay, great. I hope that they got paid a lot of money because that scene was gold.
Mhm.
Great background actors. A very big hoot for background actors.
Woo!
They're
Background actor.
underrated. They're very underrated, but they create worlds. Okay.
Listen, there is nothing more fun for me than like watching a movie that I've seen several times over and just watching everyone's reactions to things in the background.
Like, because a lot of times they don't know what's going on, and it's
Mhm.
great. Um, I would have loved to see that level of determination in like true, like anger beyond tears,
Mm.
anger beyond crying. This is the type of anger which is almost stone cold, but like fiery, and you see, oh, that person's blowing up the world. Okay.
It's like, oh, they angry, yeah.
And I would have loved to see that when Katniss sees all the people dead.
Because
Like
that I believe Jennifer Lawrence is fully capable of giving a performance like that.
she is. And I think that was just the take that they took for the movie, the editing part.
Mhm.
I would have, I mean, no offense to the director, but I would have chosen a different take or chosen a different approach to that to make it as inspiring but horribly inspiring. It was like so fatally horrid that there is no questioning of on whether to join it or not because Katniss is not giving you a choice. It's
Yeah.
like holding the strings. And in the movie's like, yeah, this is what they do. And I was like, okay.
you're, you're gonna be making fun of this for the rest of the night, aren't you?
I mean, I am because like this is for presidents. No, I was like, seriously, the hero that we get.
Yeah. Also,
Because we burn, you burn with us. Really?
I feel like in the movie,
Tone?
I feel like in the movie there was so much more emphasis on snow, on like snow is the enemy, whereas in the book it was more like the capital sucks.
Exactly. Like, and like in the movie, I was like, yes, like this is his fault. Everything is his fault. And dude, no, like it's his fault, but a lot of people helped. It's like the system's rigged.
Yeah, the system's rigged, and then I don't know, maybe it does contribute into because it's more explicit in Ballad, but there is very much a district like versus capital kind of mindset with everyone, very much like an us versus them, which we know from history can be used to dehumanize an entire population. And may or may not had Katniss not acted had Katniss taken a different course of action at the end of Mockingjay, would have easily been turned around to on the Capitol because of the whole symbolic Hunger Games. But we'll get into that when we're on part two.
And I was, is it just me? But did the movie just like, I'm sorry, but ruin the line, if we burn, you burn with us?
For me, no, but clearly for you, yes.
No, it did. So did. It's all about delivery, guys. It's not only what you say, but how you say it. Like it's like it's like the line. It's like if when they ask you, "Do I look fat in this dress?" You can say, "No, you don't." If you say, "No, you don't,"
Yeah.
it's okay. No, I don't. If you go, "No, you don't," you know that the person's lying. It's not also what you say, but how you say it. So then, if we burn, you burn with us. High pitched voice? No. If you say calmly, directly into the camera, if we burn, you burn with us. Oh, it's like I don't know what's his name. It's a great actor. Great. It's in Spanish is búsqueda implacable, which is when he says like I don't know. I don't care who you are. I'm going to find you, and I'm going to kill you.
Yeah.
Do you know that movie?
No, but sounds good.
Hey, give me a second. Wait.
Okay, but I'm thinking of season 2 of The Mandalorian when Din Djarin sends the message to Moff Gideon, just being like, "I am coming for you because you have taken my child and you gonna die."
Oh, it's Liam Neeson in the movie Taken, the first.
Oh, yeah, I need to watch that movie.
Oh, it's traumatic, literally. But like the phone call when he's like with the guy that like kidnapped his daughter, it's like it's so calm and like so like matter of fact that it's the coolest. It's like I don't care who you are, I'm going to find you and I'm going to kill you. I was like, oh damn! If it were as like a similar delivery, it's like if we burn, you burn with us, kind of like matter of fact, not like it's a threat. No, like legit, it's happening.
Mhm.
It would have been so great. Like it would have been like an epic line. Well, it is an epic line, but even more so an epic line. But like it's ignored. It's like why? It's one of the best lines. Okay, tell me, okay, what are the other things that you wish that they did?
Okay, specifically because I feel like prep teams are just the hot topic today. So we know so the prep teams are non-existent in the movies, but in the book, because Effie, we don't see her till the end of the book when we find out that Hamish and Plutarch somehow managed to keep her alive this whole time. Um, Katniss's prep team that we've known for the past 2 books is with her, and not only do we see them when we first see them, they are brutally beaten, which is your first big major sign that ooh, red flag for 13 in coin specifically. um, but also just how what was really missing was Gail's like lack of empathy for them, and not to mention like his, because he very much has an us versus them mentality, which again can be used to dehumanize an entire group of people. Because in the book there's a specific conversation that he and Katniss have where he says to Katniss, like, why are you being so nice to them? They were essentially just prettying you up for slaughter. And Katniss, unlike Gale, is capable of nuance. What a concept. Because Katniss understands that in their way they're innocent, they're capable of, you know, learning and changing. It's not their fault they happen to be born into a place where they got all this like propaganda shoved down their throats from the moment they were born. So and so she's able to have empathy for them, whereas Gale does not, even though because Coin is will be the net is setting herself up to be the next dictator. And the way Gale just kind of, you know, idolizes her and is so loyal to her, I fully 100% believe that if Gale happened to be born in the capital, he would 100% be pro capital.
Exactly. And also, I'm sorry, but he has like deep mommy issues.
Yeah. And and they should have, and in the movie, even though the prep team wasn't there, they could have at least shown Gail's lack of empathy for anyone from the Capitol with Effie, because the only interaction those two really have is when they're in the cafeteria and Kat's like, "Oh my God, Effie!" and Gail's there, and he kind of, nods and acknowledges her, but he doesn't say anything. He's kind of cold shoulder with her, and if Katniss wasn't there, I don't think he would have even acknowledged her.
Exactly. It was like one of the things that it's not shown in the movie. Because I get it's the love triangle. Why?
Not no, not the love triangle.
It's like I get that Hollywood wants the love triangle to seem like perfect. It's like, oh, who will she pick? Dude, no. Like the books is not even the love triangle. It's like you see, and like especially in Mockingjay, you see Gale's true colors, which is oddly a very like cruel person, because he is like very cutthroat. I mean, because I get okay, one thing that they don't really show is like Gale has PTSD and he does have like a lot of rage and anger within him, and he becomes like vengeance driven.
Mhm.
And Katniss is also sort of vengeance driven, but not in a I'm gonna kill them because they did this. She's in a more of a we need to change this for the future. Like, I'm sorry, about a true leader. And then you have Peeta, who the my lord, poor guy. He had the worst. And
He
him just
drew the shortest straw in this whole bunch of people.
exactly. And the fact that he still pushes through and he still sees true judgment, has like real judgment and true judgment, despite everything about himself being like bombarded and
Mhm.
went up in flames. You do see the difference between the like him and Gale are entire opposites. And in the movie is like, oh, annoying Gale, and then Peeta, oh, poor like
Soft boy or whatever.
instead of seeing two very, very broken men, one of them broken physically, but with his morals and like judgment intact, and you see the other one physically safe, but however, his true like his judgment being like entirely clouded, and both being not right but like justifiable and understandable.
Mhm.
But you see how Katniss, despite everything, pulls through in a very gray way, emphasis in gray, because she like murders people that in the movie's like not even spoken about.
Yeah, we don't talk about Katniss's
Murdering
murders.
people,
We don't talk about murders.
literally. And we don't see as much in the movie how Gale kind of like judges Katniss for the fact that she is now a murderer. In the book, it is like a very strong, like him having a chip on on his shoulder to her, and like in a mixture of like guilt, but like why did you do that?
Hmm.
And in the movie, he's like, if I would have, was like, dude, no, like the game.
Gail, if anything, Gail was shaming her more for the fact that she went along with the star-crossed lovers act and not the whole murder act, because he was the one with his whole chest being like, "You hunt animals all the time. People aren't that different."
Exactly. And in the book he does he like he's pissed about, like in the book he understands why she did it. He's more in a why did you let her yourself get to that point? Like being used in the triangle but also being used to murder others. Like he's more judgy about that, which is very ironic because later on he becomes a mass like a genocide
Yeah.
killer like himself. Like
Like, it's like one movie later, you will be in a war room being like, "Hey, let's bomb a mountain and potentially kill a whole bunch of people inside."
children. He goes from why did you kill like people, like Katniss can count with her fingers how many people she's killed, and Gale is like bombing, genocide, it's fine.
Yeah, okay. He didn't actively order the bomb that ended up killing Prim and all those kids, but still, he contributed.
No, it's one of the things that it's said in the book. He at the end he doesn't know.
Exactly. He doesn't know for sure, but he still probably still likely contributed.
No, like he doesn't know if he's the one who said go. He's not the one. That's the thing. He's not sure if he's the one who said go.
Wasn't he busy trying? Because at that point, he had been apprehended by peacekeepers. He was busy trying to get away from them. I don't think he would have orchestrated that.
But he's the one who orchestrated the attack. As an like as a strategist, you see like if you made a plan, you recognize your plan, even if you're being dragged away. You know it's like, oh, this is happening. Like even though he was not the one who said it's like right now go, he's the one who was okay with bombing, with like mass murder.
Yeah, true.
He's not like Peter's like, oh, for like scientific, oh, bombs, yeah, I can make them.
Yeah.
It's okay, weird thing. That's like Einstein with the atomic bomb. Gale is not Einstein. Einstein kind of like, oh, created the atomic bomb, not for its like intended use at all.
Yeah.
He was like, oh, I figured, oh, cool. I think,
Yeah.
hopefully, it's like, oh, okay.
And then flash forward to the end of World War II.
Boom. It's like, and he always felt very, very guilty about that. Gale doesn't feel guilty in the slightest. He
he
feels
only
guilty
feels
about
he only feels slightly bad because in that specific circumstance it killed Prim, and he's like, "Oh, there goes my chance with Katniss."
exactly, not because of Prim. It's because he wanted to get into Katniss's pants and couldn't. Didn't have a good standing anymore. That's
Yeah.
why he felt bad about it.
Yeah.
Because
And
he because he lost his chance with the girl.
yeah.
Not because he really okay. He never says I'm very sorry about, like he never like outwardly says to like outwardly shows the fact that he truly feels remorseful of being the cause that a girl, like of killing a girl that he's known since she was born.
Yeah, or at least like very young.
No, like didn't Gail and Katniss go to school together?
Yeah, but he was 2 grades ahead of her, so they didn't
Yes.
really they didn't really interact until after both, because both their fathers died in the same mining accident. So they met after their fathers died, and then they connected in the woods when Gail was like 14 and Cadmus was like 11, 12 or whatever.
Yeah, but when you're in the same school with like people, whether you know them or not, like you see them. you don't know their names, but you know who's brothers with like who's siblings with who.
Okay.
Like he knew, like he even by eyesight, he had probably known or seen Prim's baby cheeks,
True.
baby's hair, in a sense.
Yeah. Cause, cause, especially because they are both from the seam, and Prim, we know from the books, visually sticks out because most of the people in the seam have like the olive skin tone and the dark hair, whereas Prim was had blonde hair, so visually she stuck out.
Exactly. So being the reason why someone that's like someone that you've seen your entire life is dead, and not only do you know there's like her sister, you wanted to have something with a sister, and then you took care of her for like years. And he's never going like he's just like in the movie he's like, Katniss, I'm sorry. For what? Say it, bitch. Say it. He shows no like real true remorse. He doesn't. And in the books, he ends up being like this police thing.
Yeah, he gets a fancy job in District 2, essentially being police guy.
Exactly. He should have died.
Yeah, don't we all wish that would have happened?
It's like that's one of the things. He should have died.
He stopped Katniss from trying to save Finnick.
Exactly. He should have died. It would have been very, very, I'm sorry, but satisfying to see, or at least lose an eye.
True, because he doesn't really get any physical damage.
Exactly. Just chop a hand.
Like like it's we don't really see in the movie, but Katniss, like in the book, she like has burn scars after the firebomb that killed Prim and all those kids. And so does Peeta actually. He gets some as well. So
Yeah.
they're forever marked as the girl and boy on fire.
Literally. I mean, Peeta lost a leg. He's got like burn scars for this chick, and in the movie they make her go like, "Oh, which will I stay, dude?" I'm sorry, but I'm, and this is just me, and I think that, dear listeners, I don't know if this is you, but you freaking stay with the person who lost a freaking leg willingly for you.
Yeah, that's a good point. Kind of hard to not.
You
Uh,
talk like, I'm sorry, I'm still waiting for someone to buy me flowers. To bloody flower, a single flower. That's just like my standards are so very low. Like a flower, and she gets. Oh yeah, okay. He lies to protect her. He becomes like the weird protector in the arena. Murders people to like save her or like to protect her. Okay, I'm okay. Now that I'm saying it out loud, it sounds very, very creepy. I
the
mean,
context of the story, it's
because okay, if we detach it from like the story, it's a guy that he's always had a crush on you, but never really spoke to you, but saved you from starving when you were young and got a beating for you, which is nice, but never really spoke to you again. And then he goes to die with you into like the games and decides that it's his life's mission, that even though he won't be with you because you don't like him, he'll die for you. That's how you'll remember him. And loses like pretends to be your boyfriend on the arena and then loses a leg and then decides to get engaged to you and is willing to marry you just to keep you safe, and then gets like tortured and like all his family gets killed, and then all his like brain gets haywired, and then gets like burn scars and goes into war handcuffed for you.
this boy been through a lot.
I mean, if you see it like that, he's like the love that perseveres. He's like, if you stick with it, I mean, sure, it's like slightly creepy, but at the same time, it's like the type of creepy that you, at least you feel very, very thankful. And the fact that he is, like in the book, it's stated that he is like hot AF,
Yeah.
ripped AF,
I mean,
which,
if Gail had been through what PETA had been through, Gail would have turned out a villain.
mhm. And the fact that, I'm sorry, like, is it just me that's a sucker for saying, oh, his what he liked about baking? He liked like decorating the cakes. That's what he liked. And his favorite color is like sunset orange. I'm sorry, but if a guy says, "Oh, my favorite color is sunset orange," I'm sorry, but marry me? The last time, like, I asked someone what their favorite color was, I think it was like they said, "Oh, blue." Why? I was like, "Oh, why?" Guy's color.
Okay,
Or
actually, funny thing that I learned, because when I was taking my gen ed courses in college, I ended up taking a gender studies class, and turns out there was a time like back in the 30s or whatever where pink was the masculine color and blue was the feminine color, because pink was seen as very bold and vibrant, and that was a very masculine thing. It's like, yeah, be bold or whatever, and blue was more like soft and cool and gentle or whatever, so that was more feminine.
exactly. I think that's the reason why a lot of like the paintings of princes around Europe, they're always dressed like wearing pink, if you've noticed.
Mm-hmm.
Like odd like pink like long petticoats. Not petticoats, like long coats.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Exactly. So it was like, but still like, I mean, okay, be honest. Do you like Mockingjay Part 1, or you wish they would have like shortened that and gave Mockingjay Part 2 more meat so we could actually see like the fight?
I mean, yes, I mean, kind of yes and no. Like, yes, I would have loved to see like, bit more bit more meat and all this stuff, all my critiques, like, I want stuff from the books to be included, but ultimately I do really like Mockingjay Part 1. It's weirdly my second favorite movie in the franchise.
What?
I know, it's odd. I can't explain it. It just is.
What? I
I
fall asleep watching it.
know.
It's like monotone and gray. And it's not even a cool gray. It's like a gray mixed with like brown, which is like poopy gray.
I can't explain it. I just really like seeing kind of like the behind the scenes aspects of the revolution and the work that goes into making the propos, because it, especially like at the time, like for YA dystopia, it wasn't really a thing. Like, because like everyone was always hyping up the first two movies because it had the games, and then you had franchises come out like Divergent, where it was all like woo, more action punchy things. Although I actually do have a soft spot for the first Divergent movie.
Oh, don't even let me go into Divergent. I have a whole critique about that. First movie, yes. The rest of the movie.
Yeah, the rest of the movie is not so good.
I mean, you get it, but you don't. It's like,
Yeah. And then those Maze Runner movies, I will always, always, always have a soft spot for those movies.
I like the first one. The others,
Again, the last one in that trilogy is my favorite. I know. It's y'all, you can't see it. Gabby's judging me real hardcore right now. But anyway,
Going back to the Mockingjay Part 1, the movie felt oddly claustrophobic to me.
you're not
Very.
wrong, because I do, because like the whole when they're like going down the stairs for the bombing, and then they're like inside and they hear all the bombing outside. I do feel claustrophobic every time I have to watch that.
Yes, and oddly, this is not a judgment to Jennifer Lawrence. She's a great, she's I know that she's a great actress, But as Katniss, I wanted to bash her in the head with a chancla. Like chancla. She's getting the chancla treatment. Also, I love the actress that plays Prim. However, I was missing that, I don't know, like oomph thing about Prim. Because being oddly like an adult when she's, because she was supposed to be a very good nurse and a very good doctor, like a very good doctor.
Yep.
Sh- I'm sorry, but seeing her like that, in the movie, she just seemed like, which is oddly okay on point, but still, she looked oddly lost. And I mean, okay, my dad's a doctor. I've seen how, like, even in training, doctors and nurses, whenever they're treating someone, it's weird. You see their facial features, and they just like change, and they're like oddly focused. And the actress that plays Prim, she looked very she didn't look as focused. She looked a little bit like dispersed.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't get that, oh, she's a doc, like, that the doctor feels like, take this, give me that, shut up, give me
Yeah,
this.
she had a stronger moment like that in Catching Fire, but we got none of that in Mockingjay.
Exactly. And even there, she still looked like, oh, tell me what to do. No, she knew. And also, like, we didn't get to see Katniss's mother, because she's supposed to be a nurse, and Eve, like, because that's the only time where she quote unquote comes alive
Mm-hmm.
and she becomes bossy, which is like, get rid of that, put him on the table, grab Snow, blah blah blah. And then even in District 13, it would have been really nice to see them almost like wake up
Mm-hmm.
in like panics and like panic things, instead of like, oh, how are you feeling? No, it's like, give me this, give me that, grab this, shut up, like move this one out, move in, kind of like that.
Because in the
Almost
book, Mrs. Everdeen is like called away from, while they're all in the bunker, she's called away from her daughters because people needed some treatment. So we could have seen that.
exactly. And see how oddly Katniss and her mother started mending their relationship, because both had like the feeling of like the sense of servitude, of
Mm.
service.
Like they had a
Uh,
purpose in 13.
exactly. Katniss herself as a fighter, her mom as a nurse, as a doctor, as a healer, and Prim looking at very, very strong women, and pretty much being not oddly, I'm not saying childish, but like, how a very old soul is trapped in a very young body,
Mm-hmm.
that sense of a very pure existence. And like, so when you see her die, not where's my cat, like, kind of thing, it's like, yes, where's my cat, let me go. It's like, no, it's like, but not because it's her cat, it's because she doesn't want an animal just like to, it's like, even when she goes for her cat,
Mm-hmm.
it's not the fact that it's her cat, it's the fact that everyone had to be evacuated, and probably that part is going to get bombed. So
Mm-hmm.
it's like, save the cat is like save everything. Well, in the movie it's more like, oh, my cat, no, my cat. It's like, dude, no, it's get everyone. Like, and
Yeah.
in the movie you see Prim like helping people in, and like in, and instead of like looking around, usually in the book it's described Prim just like holding Katniss, and just look, it's usually looking down, which is like waiting. Because you know that in the book, in Mockingjay, Prim is described as an almost like an evolved person.
Yes.
Well, in the movie, she's portrayed still very, not immature, but very angsty, very teenager.
Mm.
And I think that in the book, they did bring her to be such like almost like an evolved. person for two reasons, which is one, war makes kids grow up very, very fast. And two, um, it makes Prim's death all the most, or like all the more disturbing.
Yep. And in a way, it starts almost reversing Katniss and Prim's roles that they've been playing for so long. Because for so long, Katniss had to be the more put together one and take care of Prim because she was so young when their father died, and mom went bye bye. Um, but now that Katniss had just been through way too much, she can't mentally keep up cope very well anymore. Prim is now stepping up.
Exactly. And you see, it would have been very, very cool to see Prim's strength come out. So we could see, yeah, like the reversal, but also see Katniss be able to fully, not fully, but semi break down,
Mm.
and Prim getting it, like getting why her sister's like that. It's like, give her a second. You good? Good, let's go. It's like kind of like how Katniss took care of her when she was younger.
Mhm.
Now it's like not only the roles reversed, but also see how her own mother took strength in Prim. And because it's in Mockingjay is very described how Prim and her mom become like finger and nail, like together. They're together like all the time. And not only we see like Katniss's mother being only a mother, but also to see her train Prim as a true doctor. And like because and you see a little bit like of like Katniss's mother's not soft side, not weak side, but the fact one, which is we could see where Katniss got it from.
Mhm.
Yes. And in the movie, we never see the, oh, they're related, like
True.
Katniss and her mom, because Katniss always hated her mom for breaking down. And now the mom sees her own daughter breaking down in a sense. And it would have been nice to see, because in the book it is called like to see like it's a little bit described how they're like, oh, like I see you, I get it, we're good. Almost it would have been nice to see like a little glimpse of like understanding or like recognition of his own, like the mother looking at Katniss going, okay, you're breaking down, like I've gone through that, like in a different but in a similar way. It's like I know where your mind's going.
Ooh, you know how in the book, the first Hunger Games book, when Katniss is saying goodbye to them for the first time after the reaping, and she, says to her mom, like, you can't tune out again, you can't. She needs you. No matter what happens, you have to be there for her. And there is a little bit of a moment where Mrs. Everything kind of snaps back and is like, I didn't have the tools I have now, ironically. I know how to treat someone with that level of depression. I just couldn't do it because I was in that deep of a state. Just imagine if like Katniss spiraling into that deep depression, Mrs. Everdeen recognizing that in her daughter, and just now that she's not the one catatonic with depression, she knows what to do.
Exactly, that would have been very, very cool
Mm-hmm.
to see, which makes Prim's death all the more horrible. It would have been, it's like, I'm sorry, it would have been great. It would have been great. But we didn't, and we just, I get it because of the lack of time. I get it. But it would have been nice to get less of Coin, because it got to the point that in the first one, Mockingjay Part 1, Coin was annoying, because it was too much of her.
Yeah, because we don't get that much coin in the book, but I get it. They hired Julianne Moore to play her in the movie, so they're gonna use her. God damn it.
Yes, but it would have been nice to see her on Mockingjay Part 2,
Okay.
preparing everything. Like, cut back to what she's doing.
Good point.
That would have been very, very cool. or her, or see her like in the back. It's like everything's good. Yes. Almost like not, because in the book, Coin is like an overlooming figure, but
Mhm.
not really. We don't really see her. Because in the movie, I find it odd that Katniss didn't recognize Snow in Coin from the very beginning, and neither did the rest of the victors
Mhm. Neither did me, the reader, at first.
at first. Because in the book, you don't recognize it because we don't really see her. We know about her story.
Mhm.
We see her giving the speeches. We see her like overseeing things, but not getting too involved. Because in the book, Katniss is training. In
True.
the movie, they don't make her train. And it's like, what's the point if you don't want her to
Yeah,
like
they kind of don't really talk about in the movie at all about how Katniss, like, they get their schedules printed on their arms every day, and Katniss just completely blows off her schedule and doesn't get the training she's supposed to be getting.
exactly, and we don't see
Because
that.
they want her to be because like we talked about earlier, they want her to be the, bad kick-ass, like, fighter, victor to inspire the troops or whatever without, giving a shit of her, if, she's okay, which she's not.
Exactly. And in the movie, we just see her not wanting to be like prettied up. And it's like, dude, no, that's not Katniss. The fact that in the movie she's semi okay still, despite everything, is like, that's not natural. That's not natural at all. At all.
Yeah, like
And we just see bursts.
Finnick was a better representation of how Katniss should have been.
Yeah. And for example, Haymitch, Mockingjay Part 1. He's
Mhm.
not that much in. If you really pay attention, he's not really that much in.
No, not really. Actually,
But you always
was
feel him.
wait, sorry, what?
You always feel him like he's about.
Yeah.
Could have done something similar with Coin, but they didn't. Or
Cool.
they could have done only like interactions between Coin and Gale
Ooh.
to see Gale's true. Because in the book, Gale answers to Coin alone.
Mm-hmm. Which is which is suspicious.
Exactly. And how Coin uses Gale to get to Katniss.
Yeah, and yeah, because that's why like Coin initially does try to bond with Gale because she sees Gale as, ooh, like this is like the quote unquote best friend of the Mockingjay who I want to control for my purposes. So, if I can get him to like me, he can get her to trust me a little bit more. But yeah, little does Coin realize how hard Katniss is to control.
Exactly. Or at least do what she says.
Hmm.
Semi do
Yeah.
what. But
Oh,
we
also, there was in terms of like Haymitch, there was a scene. Okay, there are actually two deleted scenes from Mockingjay Part One that I don't know, trade something for to have a version where those two scenes are added back into the movie. And the one is Haymitch centric, and it's right after we see him for the first time, and he comes in and is like, and that, my friends, is how a revolution dies. This isn't how he talks, but this is now the voice I've assigned.
yeah.
And Katniss is like, maybe I don't recognize you sober or whatever. And then cut to Katniss like storming out of the set like she does in the book. But Haymitch follows her, and they kind of have a confrontation with each other because they're both angry at each other still because Katniss for Haymitch not telling her about the plan and everything, and Haymitch just being a little unreasonably bitter toward Katniss and saying like, "How dare you let?" What it's like, I can't believe you let Peeta out of your sight, and it's like, dude, you didn't tell her the plan. She didn't know what was going on, and also, not her fault at all that happened, and yeah. So that would have been a really great. It's a great scene. Like I wish that was in. The other scene that should have been in was the scene where we actually see Peeta have a conversation with President Snow.
that would have been great. Or it would have been nice to see like a little tiny like 5 second montage of Peta getting tortured.
Or
Or
like,
Joanna getting tortured with water.
yes, like you don't
Imagine
even have to show it. You could just have them like screaming off camera or something. Like have it be implied.
or even her being put under like hoses of water
Mhm.
and then Peta hearing her scream and going like this.
Oh yeah, because there's even that line where Joanna says, "We had adjoining cells in the Capitol. We're very familiar with each other's screams." So you
Yeah.
could, so if you wanted to, you could just have one of them screaming in the background and cut to the other, like with the reaction of them just having to endure the screaming.
Exactly. And like because they say that they were being also like experimented on. It would have been nice to see him like being like taking like pieces of like or vials of blood being taken or like odd procedures being made or like part of a nail and like things like that would have been horrible but very it would have added to the urgency of getting them out.
Mm-hmm.
The urgency of it. Except in like Mockingjay Part 1 is like, oh, yeah, we have to get them out. Yeah, we'll see our schedule.
We'll get them out at our earliest convenience or whatever.
But when
And it
it's
isn't, and it isn't until Katniss really can't function as the Mockingjay where they're like, fine.
yes, it's like that. Yeah, because that okay, another because it's like Finnick's wedding is in part 1, right?
No, that's part two.
Oh, because I watched it back to back. I'm sorry.
It's okay. I I just watched those movies way too many times. Ironically during 2020 quarantine. I don't know what I was thinking watching the Hunger Games over and over again during that time, but here we are.
Because literally, oh, the Hunger Games in quarantine is like, oh look, people are outside. There are trees and woods. They're killing each other, but they're looking at each other. They're near each other. It's a thing.
I know, like in a time of stress, what did I watch? The movie where everyone's murdering each other in an arena.
I mean, I mean,
Actually, you know what the two things I watched the most in 2020 were? Hunger Games and Barbie movies.
I get the Barbie movies.
That
I
is
really
a
get.
weird combo.
I mean, it isn't. I really like the Barbie
Like Princess and the Pauper, best one ever. Also,
movies.
Barbie did Barbie did Rapunzel before Disney. Just saying.
Yes, and the dragon and like Barbie Rapunzel, I wanted to kill her.
We've had this discussion before. No, Penelope's the best.
She was a bitch.
I love her.
A bitch.
I love her.
I know, but she was a bitch. I was like, and the fact that she was like the niece of the big dragon, I was like,
No, she was the daughter of the dragon.
daughter, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. How does that create Penelope? How?
Listen, we don't know who the mother is.
Like Penelope's tiny and the other guy's like massive. I'm like,
He's still growing, okay?
she has no scales. She's like as smooth as a dolphin.
She is growing, okay? She's a baby.
Okay, she definitely acts like one, but I do like all the dresses and like
Yeah. Oh, I gotta find I can't remember the name, but there's a couple creators on TikTok who make content of one of them is cosplaying as Barbie Rapunzel and the other's cosplaying as Rapunzel from Tangled, and it's my new favorite thing.
also like oh the sun. Ah.
Yeah. Wait, what's the tune? that one.
Yeah, I was like, there are like no words to it. Okay. And did you
Actually, actually no, because I found a old CD which was like Barbie princess music, and it was all the music from The Princess and the Pauper, obviously, but then it had some songs from like Nutcracker and Swan Lake and Rapunzel, and the lyrics for the Rapunzel song were like, and so I will fall on a falling star to find out who I am and who you are. And I can't be very. If I'm forgetting the rest of the words, but there were actual words at one point.
they were not in the movie.
I know they were not in the movie, but they were in like the end credits or something.
You okay, you forget something, my child. My little friend. You forget that I saw all the Barbie movies, I saw them in Spanish.
Okay, yeah.
Okay. So literally the song I'm just like you,
I
you're
know
just like
that
me. I know it in Spanish. Yes, soy como tú
now.
eres igual. Todos lo pueden comprobar. And it's like, really? I'm like, so when I hear them in English, I'd be like, why are you destroying my childhood?
You're like, what's wrong with this? Oh, speaking of songs sounding weird, this happened recently. So I got my brother to listen to some Taylor Swift. His favorite song is Mr. Perfectly Fine, by the way. Um,
Hmm.
and he also really likes the song Forever and Always, but then one day I had like my phone on music on shuffle when we were in the car, and the piano version of Forever and Always came on, and Brady's like, Allie, what's wrong with the song? Like, it's the piano version. Huh?
I'm gonna hug your brother. It's like it's okay.
He was so confused.
I know it's traumatic, but it'll pass. It shall pass, my darling. But yeah, no, like it's like intense. Like, yeah.
Anyway, Hunger Games. I don't know. That's kind of all my thoughts. Plus, it's getting semi late.
But okay, what's like our conclusion?
Conclusion.
The Mockingjay book, it's a masterpiece.
The Mockingjay book superior, and I
The
still
movie,
enjoy
this is bullshit. Like the book, this is a work of art. And the movie, this is bullshit. A very well made bullshit, but it's still bullshit.
it. Okay, what's that one? They use on like TikTok where it's like, show a movie and it's that guy going woo, like that's me with Mockingjay, and then the one they use of Marge being holding a thing, being like, I just think they're neat. That's how I feel about the book versus the movie.
No, like literally. Oh, have you heard that like the TikTok sound? Like this is fairly old, but the TikTok sound of like the Titanic movie, My Heart Will Go On,
Mm-hmm.
and then when something's bad, it's just a very bad like flute version, like recorder
Oh
version.
yeah.
Literally, the book is like full on version, orchestral version, and then the movie is just like the recorder very badly played in the recorder. However, the fact that I dislike the movie, it's not because it's a badly made movie. It's a great made movie. It's a great movie. Like movie wise, it's great. Compared to the original material, it's bullshit. Because there were a lot of missed opportunities and they changed a lot of the things. I get it because of like time restraints, but I mean, if they already like cut the book in two, they already split the book in two. They made part one and part two.
Mm-hmm.
They could have done something to make the first like part one to seem a little bit faster because I'm sorry, but the tempo of it was slow as hell.
Yeah, that is true.
And it's not the director's fault, it's not the actor's fault, it's editing. which I get, but a lot of the thing, like a lot of the scenes, I think that they stayed there for too long. I think that they could have been shortened, and little glimpses of the things outside of District 13 would have really painted a very big and broad Panem. Instead, Mockingjay Part 1 as a movie, it's very claustrophobic because it's very together. And I get that the book is only through Katniss's eyes. However, the movie doesn't have to be.
True.
It would have been very, very nice to see like what's going on 13 and then glimpses of everything that's going outside, so we see the urgency of everything that's being planning, and like how everything has to be planned to perfection because they only have a single go. That would have been very, very cool. Instead, what we had is like eternal planning, and then all the nitty gritty is like, oh, urgency, there's not there. Not there at all. Torture, there's torture in the book, it's not in the movie. There's blood in the book, there's not in the movie. That was like, there's like, oh, black and dark, like black and white things about the characters, which is like good and evil, like together, and the character making a gorgeous and very interesting gray. No, like in the movie, it's like, oh, let's make the typical hero. So it's like the typical final girl. It's like, dude, no, Katniss is not the typical final girl. If they would have kept the fact that they're gladiators and they've murdered people, and why are they desperately needed in the rebellion, it would have been a much enjoyable movie. Because the movie is great, but there were a lot of missed opportunities. And someone who's read the book, if you haven't read the book, read the book. It's great. It would have been, at least in my opinion, a lot better. Also, the tone palette, I get that they used the different palette to show between the inside 13 and outside. But at some point, I really started hating that gray, like gray brown kind of thing that looked like poop. It was like diarrhea colored, like very light, but like diarrhea color in a sense. And I was like, why? Why? And also, I love Jennifer Lawrence's hair, but there they slicked it down and she looked almost bald, and not in a great way. And I'm just asking why.
I'm pretty sure she wore a wig in that movie.
You get a better wig. You pay someone $2,000 less and you would have got a great wig. Okay, I don't know how much wigs cost there. You could have come to Mexico. You get amazing wigs for like $400. No, but like lifelong wigs, the type of wigs that you get them, the lace and everything, and they're like good for years. $400. But no, they used that, and I was like, what the fuck is this? Even Katniss, my girl Jennifer Lawrence, they did her dirty. They gave Julian more like eyelash curler and stuff, and they didn't give her anything.
Because they want to emphasize Quinn's the bad guy. I don't know.
But okay, that's one of the things that I could like. If you're gonna do bareface, you do everyone bareface. So it's like striking. Not you do everyone bareface and then like coin smoky eye like with red. So it's like, so it was like, oh, it's gonna look so natural. It doesn't. No one's eyes are like what's it called? It's not eyeballs. What's it called? This part of the eye.
Where you put like eyeshadow.
Yeah, where you put the eyeshadow. No one's real color is like burgundy. Unless you're a mouse. No, I'm sorry, a rat, and a white rat, but she's not one.
But on the inside, she's a rat. I don't know.
I mean, sure, and that's why she's great, but still.
Anyway,
And I get, okay, I'm sorry, but she was also the inspiration for Jenny Kim's, like, from Blackpink, like, white, like, not white, blonde streaks, like streaks of hair, like, up front. No one's hair is naturally like that. No one's. Look at Coin's hair. No one's hair looks naturally like that. So perfectly white in the front and then gray in the back. And also like a constant gray. No one is like that. No one. If we really, oh, it's because we wanted it natural. Then you do natural. And I'm sorry, Julianne Moore is a great actress, and she looks gorgeous, whatever with whatever you put her on. I think she would have been okay, no makeup at all, and like normal gray hair. She still would have looked great. But literally, it looks like Coin has her own like beauty team. But it's like when they're trying to give Katniss a beauty team. That makes no sense. I know, Hollywood, but still.
Gotta love it.
Oh, and what's up with Finnick? Oh, there's like highlights in his hair,
Yeah, I don't know.
but they're kept like perfect the entire time. I was like, haven't you been in a bunker for like months?
Listen, he is Finnick Odair. He will somehow find a way to have perfect hair.
I get it, but still, it's one of the things that like me watching it today before this gorgeous podcast. I was like, watching it, like close, and I'm like, is she wearing mascara? I was like, that's definitely. Yeah.
Listen, Finnick, in between tying knots to distract himself from his own worry and depression, in between that, clearly he was making sure his hair was in good order.
I mean, sure. And also would have liked to see more like Annie Krista.
Yeah.
Maybe in the back, just like walking.
I mean, at least for part two, I guess, because to be fair for this one, she's also currently in the capital, not doing so well.
But still, it would have been nice to see her like him remember her or something, or her saying something.
She does say something at the end. She says, and then runs to him.
Exactly, but it's like it's the same thing with like Portia. Peter, what's up with these one-liners? You see their face
No,
the
no,
entire.
she gets two lines in this whole franchise because in the next one she's like, "I vote yes with PETA" or whatever, or "I vote no" or whatever she says.
Yeah, there, Finnick would have said something. I get it, but still, it's like you have her face in the movie the entire time. Didn't like dear Hollywood? Didn't you want to pay her money or pay her enough? Like she was already on set. Throw in a couple more bucks so she speaks.
I get, listen, I get they must have just used the full budget. I don't know. Julianne Moore was an expensive hire, so they're like, ooh.
I think any normal actor would have been okay with being paid slightly less in order to increase like production things that they come by for the movie. Because it doesn't matter how much dough or money you get paid. If the movie sucks, you suck too. So I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm very energetic about how much I hate the movie. Not because of the movie again. I love the movie. It's a great movie. But compared to the books, I'm like the book is like huge sleigh. And then the movie's like a minute sleigh. Maybe a third sleigh.
like 1/4 sleigh.
Exactly. It was like or oh, if like it would slay if like the movie was a funeral. Sort of is, but still, it's if it's like
Anyone who's listening who's not addicted to TikTok like we clearly are is probably like, what is wrong with these girls?
I know it's like go on TikTok and listen to the sounds, but still.
Yeah, like just spend a few hours on TikTok and then you'll know what all our unhinged references are.
Okay, but you're gonna okay. Are you gonna tell me like what is okay? Is it or is it not that the book is very dynamic and the first movie is sort of monotone? Yes or no?
I mean, compared to the book, it is more monotone, but I still enjoy it. So I'm just I'm just easy to please, okay? This is why I have you on to make the critiques.
No. Because I'm the toffee, okay? Not the
Love
toffee.
you.
Fine, I'll be like Tuffy. I'm like Tuffy. You know the Tuffy that you put on like The toffee that you put on top of like cookies that makes them better. Yes. Okay. I love you. Dear listeners, I'm so sorry. I'm very opinionated. I'm so sorry.
And
But
that,
okay,
just like Katniss, very opinionated. This is why we love you.
I love you too. I'm gonna cry. Okay, but still. If you were given the choice of reading the book or watching the movie, okay, if you were given the choice between the book and the movie and you could only watch or read one for the rest of your life, which would you
Ooh,
choose?
for the rest of my life, I mean, ultimately, it would have to be the book, even though the movie goes easier on my mental health.
Exactly. Here's the thing about adaptations of books. If it's not as good as a book or better than the book, I'm sorry, but it's like, why? What's the point? For
Unlike the Maze Runner movies, that's the opposite. I will rewatch those movies. I will never read the books again.
exactly. Or okay, like Harry Potter fans are gonna murder me. But some parts of the movies were more enjoyable than those sections in the books.
Hmm. I which sections? I'm curious now.
I don't want to I don't want to be hated by the people, like by the listeners. I'm gonna like zip it.
All right. We'll talk later.
We'll talk later. But
Anyway, we should how are we wrapping this up? So, Gabby, your any more final thoughts you wanted to add?
the book is a masterpiece. The movie, but I'm not gonna say bullshit. The movie is great, but they did change a lot of things, and that's what we wish. However, the movie did very, very cool things, which is bring a very complicated book to life.
Hmm.
Was it the best? Was it the best option? Eh. Some people argue yes, some people argue no. That's why we do this, guys. Please put in the comments whether you believe it or not, or whether you hate this movie with a passion, the same as me, not because of the movie, not because of the actors, but because of the books. It's entirely different. Or what? Please let us know what you would have liked to see in the movie instead of some of the sections that were like took forever.
Yeah, like
So
if you're, I mean, like I was saying, if you're listening on the YouTube, obviously comment. Or I'm on Instagram. You can let us know that way. Or if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, you could leave a review with your opinion on how you feel about the Mockingjay books and movies.
send Ali a DM, like the podcast, share it with your friends, take it as a conversation because why is it important that we speak about it? Not because only because of Mockingjay Part 2 that it's probably coming. It's because the Hunger Games is being reborn. It,
Woo! Yeah, so I keep saying how I'm like, oh no, I need to prolong the ending of the series when my dummy brain keeps forgetting. There's a new movie coming out. You'll have plenty of more to talk about when that comes out in November.
exactly. So, what do you want to see on camera?
Oh, for Ballad?
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, obviously the songs, especially Lucy Gray's rendition of The Hanging Tree, because full circle moment. I don't know. I don't know. What's something you're looking forward to?
Lucy's death.
I know you
I'm sorry. Why I want to
are.
see Lucy's death? Because it's a very like full closure for Snow's character. Because we know him as the odd dictator. That if fun fact, the thing about him being with Venom and like poisoning people, and then him having him like have
Mhm.
scars and things inside of his mouth. Did you know that the only Mexican dictator, Porfirio Diaz, did the exact same thing?
Ooh, I remember you telling me about this.
Yes. So Tony's like, oh, like it hits home. Like we know it. Sorry. It's like we've seen that yet. So in real life, which sucks. But it's like a long time ago. But still, we know Snow as the conniving, like snake that he is by the end. But I really want to see his not like obnoxious little asshole turn into the big dictator that he became. Like, oh, like it's like when you realized it. Oh, with that movie, you realize that the Hunger Games was actually not about like Katniss. The real like that's when you realize that the real main character has always been Snow. Just like
Mm,
Star Wars. Why by the end you realize that the actual main character has always been Darth Vader.
yep.
Spoilers to whoever has not seen like Star Wars.
Okay,
It's
if
been
you haven't seen like the original trilogy at this point, or at least don't know things, shame on you. Actually, though, funny story. I think I told the story on the podcast before, but just in case no one has heard it, so one of my best friends in high school, I mean, still one of my best friends to this day, but poor guy, when we were in high school, at that point he hadn't seen the original trilogy, so I sat him down, we watched it together, and he knew that Darth Vader was Luke's father because of the whole, like, I am your father thing that we all knew about just from existing in pop culture. What the
also
poor
it literally translates in German, which is dark father, so
Yeah. But what the poor guy didn't know was that Luke and Leia were siblings. So we're watching A New Hope because I started him on the original trilogy, and he is shipping them, and then we get to Empire Strikes Back, and Leia kisses Luke in front of Han to make Han jealous or whatever, and he's like giddy, and when Han gets frozen in carbonite, he's like, "Yes, Luke and Leia have a chance." And me, I thought about telling him, I thought about giving him a heads up, but I chose the chaotic option, which was not telling him,
he
and
see like the
and then it
horror.
was, and then I don't know, it was too late or something. We didn't watch Return of the Jedi together, but like I don't know, a week later or whatever, he watched Return of the Jedi with his dad, and he called me screaming, and I'm like, you watch Return of the Jedi, and he's like, yes, they're
They're related. Yes, they are. And they're twins, which is way worse.
Yeah, and listen, buddy, it's okay. George Lucas, when he was writing Empire, didn't even know they were twins.
It's fine. It's like, yeah, it's like the exact same. Like, this is it with the new movie coming out. It's gonna be similar to like Darth Vader kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
You'll know that it's pretty much Snow's rise and fall in
Yep.
Panem.
Oh
But I
yeah.
really that
And
they
sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say that I just really hope that they expand a little bit more on Panem because I don't think that we really saw like Panem
Mm,
like the Hunger Games like at all. Like we didn't like you could have told us this is like Snow's house and I wouldn't have even known. It's like we don't know like the geographics, like the true geography of it or like for example in Game of Thrones we know Westeros like we know.
hmm
But in the Hunger Games, like in the movies that we have, we don't really see it. So I really hope that they hone a little bit more of that on where they expand a little bit more on the world so everything later on makes sense. And we see Tigress, her before and her after.
Yeah. Also, although I thought of this because you asked about things I'm excited to see on screen. How could I not think of this right away? But any conversation, one-on-one conversation between Snow and Dr. Gall.
Hells yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
especially because it's Viola freaking Davis.
Yes. And also, okay, this is weird, but all the actors in like the new movie are so insanely thin that to not feel bad, I'll probably have to eat like salad for a week before the movie
Yeah,
is.
but listen, we're yeah, any yeah, that's I mean, yeah, we're embracing hunger games, I guess.
I mean, yes, but I mean, dear Hollywood, can you just like feed your actors a little bit more? I'm not talking about me. I already have like enough issues as it is. I'm talking about new generations.
Yeah. It's
Like,
like it is summertime. I am already stressed enough as it is. Like
no, everybody's a summer buddy. That's besides the point. It's just I don't know. But I really do hope that we see a very vivid yet not as polished physically version of Panem. So we see the difference between the first victors and how by the end it was so glamorized. I really want to see that.
I mean, Lucy, I mean, we know Lucy obviously goes missing or slash and or dies at the end. So
Yeah,
yeah, listen, it is so yeah, it really isn't until the following year that we get like the first real like victor that becomes a celebrity that sticks around because it's Max.
exactly. But I really want to see the difference because in the Hunger Games that we know, all the victors get glamorous, even get like plastic surgery in their face or boobs or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But I really want to see. I hope that they keep it in the first. I don't think they did, but like I really want to. I really wanted to see the victors like normal kids.
Mm-hmm.
So the difference between the later on glamorized and then the brutality of the first ones, which is just show them in a true arena with like a knife go. So we could see the brutality without any pretty dresses or anything. But I already saw the trailer and I know that they de-glamorized it a lot, which is my dreams died. However, I'm very excited for the movie.
Yep. And with that, yeah, we really should wrap it up. I enjoy both books and movies, though books are always better, and we are excited for a ballad in the fall. So woo!
Yes, and we are very excited to see more adaptations of fantasy slash utopian, like dystopian, both type of books being created,
Yep,
both type of books being portrayed in cinema.
yep. And speaking of book adaptations, I'm excited for next year. We get the first season of the Percy Jackson series.
Yes. Yes. And hopefully it'll be as brutal. Okay, the listeners will think that I really crave violence.
Gabby, violence is should not be glorified. Also, Gabby, bring more violence onto the screen.
More just realistic. I
I
don't want to
know.
see like the perfectly positioned like hit on someone's cheek. No, I want to see someone get sucker punched. But you know the type of sucker punch that even the person that did the sucker punch is like, ow. I
Yeah.
want to see that. Not the perfectly like choreographed. Or if it's perfectly choreographed, I want to see them going, holy crap. Not what we saw in the first. Okay, no shade, but the first Percy Jackson, all the fights with swords, they were so slow that I was like, dude, you're like asking permission to each other to like hit each other's swords. It's so slow. Someone
That
could have been killed
those
by.
those movies are not the Percy Jackson movies. Rick Riordan even calls them the Peter Johnson movies.
I mean, but we have to say something that it's Grover was very, very enjoyable, and Logan Lerman as Percy Jackson. I'm sorry, but he looked so nice in it that I was very bummed that the movie wasn't as.
There is an alternate timeline where they made Percy Jackson movies when Logan Lerman was the right age and he was able to do it and be the perfect Percy Jackson, but this is not that timeline.
Yeah, I know, but Logan Lerman's a great actor. Let's Alessandra. I think her name's Alessandra Daddario. That's how we got her, and I mean, she is a beautiful actress. She's a gorgeous actress, and I'm very glad that through that movie, even though it wasn't great, we got to see her step into the limelight or step into the light.
Yeah, no, that's I'm glad that those movies helped those actors with their careers. However, I would have switched what's her name, Alexandra. If she was Annabeth, I would have had her as Clarice, and actually the actress who ironically was Glimmer, who ended up playing Clarice in the sequel. I think she would have been a better Annabeth.
Eh, I wanted to see her as what's the name of Suze's daughter?
Of who?
Suze's daughter.
Oh, Thalia.
Exactly.
Okay, yeah, I can see that too.
Yeah.
Anyway, how many fandoms can we bring up in an episode that was about the Hunger Games? So Gabby's socials are in the show notes, so are mine, of course. And we're gonna get the gang together in the near future so we can talk about Mockingjay Part 2, and so we'll eventually move on to another book to talk about on this podcast. Thank you everyone so much for listening. Gaby, thank you so much. You are always there's always an open door for you here.
Thank you so much for having me here. It's always a blast. I'm so thankful for you to for inviting me, and also for the listeners to keep listening to this gorgeous podcast. Please keep listening, like it, comment, share it. You have Ali's gorgeous social. That's the printer. Sorry. So little commercial. You have gorgeous listeners. You have Ali's and our like this gorgeous podcast's social media. Please comment, share, enjoy. You have also, as Ali said, my socials. If you want to check it out, please do. It's always great. It's always nice to see new people. And also please keep following this gorgeous podcast because Ali is a great host and she's knowledgeable about books, and she gets so into it that nowadays it's not as common to see real like book critiques and movie critiques so involved in both. So my hat's off to you, Ali. So please like, enjoy, share, and back to you, Ali.
Thank you. Yeah, I swear I swear I look at my social medias even if I forget to post. Whoops. Anyway, have a good. I hope everyone has a good day / night whenever you're listening, and we'll talk to y'all next time. Bye.
Bye.